Seattle Police Officers Guild President Kent Loux, you have a strong opinion on this, whether or not she should have these cameras on. And you posted about this, and that's why I asked you to come in today. What's your take on this? Should she turn those cameras off, or should they be kept on?
Well, I think they should be turned on. I don't know of any evidence to suggest that there's a breach in the system, right, to suggest that, the feds are kind of looking in or overseeing anything at all.
Sure.
And this is a force multiplier for us as police and law enforcement. And I think coupled with the other things that we're struggling with in this city, I think these are the tools that we need to really our goals should be protecting the most productive and the most vulnerable.
Sure.
So I understand the privacy concerns, and I appreciate that. But right now, I mean, we're catching criminals. We're holding people accountable. And we're holding, these are sometimes the only witnesses we have to these crimes.
We were just in the top of the hour news break there. You heard Aaron Granillo telling us about that ongoing manhunt for somebody who's suspected in, is it two homicides? Two separate homicides.
Yeah.
And so they're asking people locally. They're saying, hey, does anybody have like ring cams? Do we have any information that we can help get to local law enforcement to try to find what could be a very, very dangerous individual if he is guilty of these crimes that they are suspecting him of? So they can be very effective in helping catch people. But the surveillance part, Katie Wilson's kind of saying like, well, this is about surveillance. It's about making sure the big brother's not peeking in on people's lives. What's your response to that?
I mean, could they not be using the ring cameras? Could they not be using any of the other cameras? It's not that these cameras are the only technology that the city has. I mean, there's just going to be canvassing for more, right? For private cameras, for business cameras, for things like that. So I understand from that perspective, like these are the cameras that she controls, right, and that she can turn off. But the reality is, it's just causing more work for officers, for detectives.
Well, it's
to go find these cameras.
As you said, taking one of the most useful tools law enforcement has.
Yeah.
Is surveillance, and I hate the idea of a nanny state, of a big brother watching everything we do, but that cat is out of the bag. The cameras, to your point, there's ring cameras everywhere. The people who collect information on ring cameras. When Savannah Guthrie's mom was abducted, they were able to reach into private companies that have surveillance units and get that information.
Yeah.
It was volunteered in that particular case.
Those companies helped, I believe.
Those companies helped,
that situation.
But this information is all being, it's not they have to go to door and download your doorbell. They're all being stored somewhere.
Sure.
All these cameras. If the mayor's been given reassurances from local legislators that the safeguards she's concerned with, the protection she's concerned with, the safeguards are in place, then I don't understand her rationale.
Why can't we walk and chew gum at the same time?
Thank you.
Why can't we have the cameras open and up and operational, collecting that data, but also conducting an audit at the same time?
Sure.
So recently, we just had a conviction through King County, because some of it was felony, where the cameras were literally the only witness we had to get convictions. So what we had here is we had a domestic violence situation where the victim was too scared to come forward. The cameras, the case went forward because of the cameras. Because of RTCC cameras, about this woman being stalked and chased down. This guy's chasing her through red lights and everything else. So I think there's like 17 camera angles or whatever, 17
traffic lights, things like
traffic
that.
lights, whatever was supplied of the evidence of this. So here we have a case where this person being stalked and run down, she's too scared to come forward. We didn't need her to.
Without those cameras, that guy's still on the loose, on the streets, on her.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this question. So Katie Wilson kind of gives in to the public pressure, as she should have, to turn these things on for the World Cup. And immediately after, she turns them off. Like, who in her ear is advising her on this, where she feels the need to shut these cameras off? Like, who is she listening to? Who is she trying to appease? Because I can't figure out from a reasonable perspective, there's a lot of stuff that happens in those areas. And it's like very highly trafficked. There's still games that happen. There's Mariners games. There's going to be Seahawks games again.
Right.
So the idea that these cameras wouldn't be on doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, and you just turned them on for our international guests?
Well,
but not for the people that live here every day?
Yes. So that's like, who's she trying to appease by doing this? And who is she afraid of offending by keeping them on?
Well, I think, her rationale that a credible threat was established by the various law enforcement agencies you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
50 different agencies.
I have the statement here. She says these particular cameras were only turned on for the duration of the FIFA World Cup in Seattle because of its high profile and the unique circumstance surrounding the event.
Well, I think there's a credible threat of downtown safety in that. To your point, in that district, there's crimes happen down there. People are down there all the time. Is a ball game not enough of an event, special event? Is a concert at the stadium or the event center not enough of an event to merit using the tools to keep the citizens safe? The mayor's got to commit to the privacy, protecting privacy, also protecting safety.
I feel like
protecting property.
I understand the privacy thing. I feel like that's almost more of a hide behind thing, where she's actually doing it for an ulterior motive, but she's saying that this is about Big Brother privacy. I don't know that that's totally the case.
Well,
but
I think it may be rooted in the administration's specifically immigration efforts, because they had said they were asked by FIFA not to use ICE as an immigration tool, enforcement tool at World Cup events. I think that particularly made World Cup the event. But I would prefer, or I would offer to the mayor that anytime you're asking people to trust your city to come in and gather and spend and enjoy their time in your city, that's enough event to merit their protection.
If you have a privacy concern over these cameras, and if you have the stadium events and things that are a concern, all right, let's be consistent. Turn off all the cameras.
Totally.
Not that I'm a proponent of that.
Totally
right?
Agree.
Obviously, but why is it just these cameras? Why even come in and say, well, I'm going to pause the expansion? No, if you're that concerned about this, shut them all off.
I agree. I mean, they're on in the CID. They're on Aurora Avenue. They're on everywhere else in town.
Yep.
Those cameras are still on. I'm worried that the audit is going to show her give her the rationale,
the latitude to turn them all
off.
Here's the other thing. These cameras, they might be catching crimes. They're not catching tickets, and they're not making money for the city. And they're not turning those cameras off. There's a bunch of school zone cameras. I'm all for school zone cameras. I'm fine with people wanting to make sure that people have the motivation to not drive quickly through school zones.
Yeah.
I want to keep the kids safe. But they have a lot of cameras who are also, we did the story the other day. Think about all the cameras on the roads protecting people who are driving, road workers.
Through work
It's like
zones?
85,000 tickets last year written by these work zone cameras, or all the toll cameras that are capturing license plates nonstop during hours of operation, obviously, but nonstop. Every single second, they're snapping pictures. Why aren't those turned off?
Revenue. But there is an indirect impact on revenue with these cameras, RTCC, in that you need, as I said, to protect the most productive and the most vulnerable, right? So keeping crime low, allowing businesses to function, that is an indirect connection to revenue.
100%.
Right? We need a business-friendly city. We need a diverse tax base, and we need businesses flourishing to pay and fund for all these programs that she wants to run and things like that. So there is an indirect connection to revenue that we should be paying attention to.
It's not even indirect. It's just got to open your eyes and see it. We talked at the beginning of the week that now that World Cup is over, will Seattle be able to maintain this, showroom new Seattle that we put on for World Cup? This, roll at the welcome mats, as good as we're ever going to be. It was a beautiful, perfect city for World Cup. Can the city maintain that?
Fleeting glimpse.
For one brief, shining moment, the city called Camelot, right? Can we maintain that? Well, to your point, let's keep a safe, productive business district downtown. And to do that, you need all the tools law enforcement has at their disposal to be in place.
Isn't it ironic that the city got clean because of cameras? It got clean because there's this international spotlight that gets placed on the city, and everybody's like,
and
hey,
not
what?
Just surveillance cameras, TV cameras.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
TV cameras.
yes.
Suddenly everybody's like, hey, let's make a good impression so that people want to come back here and spend money. How is that any different than what's happening right now? And the very first thing that she wants to do is turn off cameras in the vital areas where businesses are fleeing. And I know I'm emphasizing that word in the wrong way, but they are going away. 37% of office space downtown is vacant. We talked about this earlier in the week.
I think the way they're doing it, you can make
Zombie
make
towers.
fleeing a 3-syllable word the way they're doing
They
it.
are fleeing.
Yeah, and the answer isn't increasing revenue, increasing taxes to increase revenue.
Yeah,
No, it's increasing revenue.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen after this audit comes out? If we could make a prediction, and I don't know if you're even in a position or
I can
allowed
predict.
to
I'm in the prediction business, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear Ken's take on
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
Well, again, I've seen no evidence to suggest that there's a problem, there's a breach, right? I mean, I think this is becomes more of a personal thing.
Sure.
For her, the administration.
To a constituency.
Yeah.
It's funny you say, because one of the quotes we have from a story from KIRO, and the quote, I'm gonna try not to butcher this too badly. The constituency that got the mayor elected is going to be the constituency that holds the mayor accountable. These are the keep the cameras off crowd. And I think the constituency that got the mayor elected, if that's going to keep after the mayor, is going to be the constituency that guarantees the mayor is a one-term mayor.
So you think if she doesn't turn these cameras off, they're just going to kick her out? Is that what you're saying? Like the people who got her elected are saying, like, you do what we want.
If she
gone, lady.
Well, no, that's not enough to keep her in office. She's made too many enemies and made too many mistakes, I think, already out of the gate.
Do you think that? What do you think about that, Kent? Do you think that she's just playing to her base, and is that a good strategy?
I think she's playing to her base, but again, I think we briefly touched on it just before the show, is that you can probably, like I said, I think Spike said it, you can cast a wider net, right? So you can kind of leave maybe the outliers and come across as more moderate, more reasonable. And I think part of that is turning on these cameras, right? Allowing prosecutors to gather this evidence. This helps everybody. You have an understaffed police department. That helps us, right? Gather evidence and put all this in. Helps prosecutors. They're understaffed. And why would you not want to hand this irrefutable evidence to prosecutors? Cases go faster. They don't go to trial.
Yeah.
That saves money, right? A lot of work hours.
It's efficient use of the limited resources.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting because, like, Kent, you are an expert on this. I would consider you an expert. You're a law enforcement. You have been in law enforcement for years. You're now the president of Seattle Police Officers Guild. We're talking to Kent Loux right now. When you talk to, like, the average police officer in Seattle, when they read that the mayor is turning these cameras off, are there some that are pleased with this news, or like, what's the general consensus?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a hindrance. I know of some detectives who found out because they went to access a camera and it was off in the stadium district.
How am I supposed to do my job?
Yeah. So that's how they found out, not through the news.
I would assume that in general, most police would recognize that this is such a vital tool and that it needs to be kept on and that they want it kept on. But we're not hearing that from somebody like Sean Barnes, whose job it is to report to Katie Wilson, right? Have we heard from Sean Barnes on this? What he thinks on this?
I think he's made comments about the cameras.
He likes the cameras.
I think he likes the cameras.
Okay.
Right.
So why is it then, if there's no evidence to turn them off, then why is it, and if all the law enforcement officials, like Katie Wilson, obviously when you get elected to a position like this, and she clearly doesn't have like a massive background for this, we all know that, we all understand that, that's fine. I think her prior job was as a, what did she do? She was like there was a bus union that she started.
Transit Riders Union.
And her husband bakes bread. Not people who generally are like leading cities. That's fine. I'm not trying to besmirch them in any way. I'm just saying that she doesn't have the resume. Your job then is to seek counsel from people who know what they're doing. So you want to surround yourself with as many people. We were talking about this earlier with the Iran stuff and Trump and all the negotiating stuff.
Right. Fill the room with smarter people than you and listen to what they say.
Shouldn't her job be to say, hey, you know what? Law enforcement experts, what do you think of this? Like, I would imagine like almost 10 out of 10. You guys would all say, keep the cameras on, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody would say shut them down. It does give us an advantage. It is a multiplier. And as we've seen in this recent case, they actually are unbiased witnesses. And it stands in court. Right, we've proven that now.
But I think the mayor's already had that information from those sources that this is a tool they need and they use.
Yeah, you're right.
I think what the mayor's going to need to get is reassurances or guarantees from a legislative perspective that your concerns have been addressed. The safeguards you feel you need are in place.
So you think she's waiting for this audit, and the audit will provide her the cover to say that the cameras are fine, I can leave the cameras on.
And we're not going to share it, we're not going to store it, we're not going to keep it for a limited amount of time.
But I thought they had already done that. Didn't we have a whole legislative session where Bob Ferguson came out and said, like, hey, we're going to make sure that these cameras don't get yada yada and go to whoever.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that the audit shows the mayor that's already in place, your concerns are unwarranted, give the police the tools they need to do the job and keep the city safe, to fulfill your responsibility, your commitment to Seattle.
How long does this audit go?
But that speaks to the inconsistency of this all, right? Then get in office and say, I have these concerns. That's why I'm shutting all of them off. I'm conducting this audit, right? And then I'm going to, once this audit comes clear, I'm going to turn them all on.
Well, I think it should be an all. It's got to be an all or nothing.
Right? That would be more consistent.
Yeah, because they're still on in the CID, right?
Right. CID,
still
Aurora
on
Avenue,
in wherever else, Aurora.
The Pimp War Rally. Yeah.
You want to catch videos of people breaking the law and catch them.
As Ken said, the only evidence we have often are these cameras.
Yeah.
So this inconsistency is demonstrating that they work, right? We use them, I need them, but I've got to appeal to this base, right? And I can't go full send.
It does not bode well for keeping the cameras on. I do think there's a very good chance where no matter what the audit comes back, she just says, hey, you know what, we're keeping these ones off.
See, now I feel it's going to go the other way. I feel the audit's going to come in and she's going to open. To Kent's point, if you lose a portion of a fringe of your base that you're appeasing with these cameras being shut down, if you lose a segment of those, you're going to get a much wider, moderate support from the community that wants a safer community. There's far more people worried about being able to do their jobs, run their business, raise their families in the city than there were people worried about people's privacy being invaded.
There's far more upside
for her.
That's
it. Yeah.
For the administration.
To keep them.
Keep them to be a little more moderate, to lose maybe some of her base.
Sure.
There's more upside,
but to appeal to
pool.
the business owners, keeping the streets clean, things like that, right?
Yeah.
I think
safe.
so.
Yeah, you bet. Prosperous.
Only time will tell. Kent Loux, Seattle Police Officers Guild President, thank you for coming in and making the time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.